Hello everyone, this is Jed Schlackman. I'm a holistic counselor and energy healer. For this particular video, I'll be speaking about the development of gender characteristics, masculine and feminine qualities, how our early life experiences can impact that, can affect the way we form our own self-concept, our own personality, our own qualities that we wish to maybe accentuate or suppress depending on the case or situation. So as a preface to that, I'll point out that from a spiritual perspective, an energy perspective, we all come from a source that's inclusive of both masculine and feminine. So we're all in that way androgynous beings. Whatever physical form you may be experiencing now, you still have the potential within you for all of the masculine and feminine qualities and characteristics. The body, the physical incarnation, provides a filtering of sorts, a way of supporting the expression of one gender polarity more so than the other. So those who are born into a physical female body will tend to naturally exhibit more feminine qualities. Those born into the masculine body will tend to exhibit more of the masculine qualities or characteristics. However, it's not an automatic correlation, so depending on the consciousness that you're bringing in or that you're consciously choosing to develop, you could be more masculine while in a feminine body, more feminine while in a masculine body. And there's this interaction, per se, between what we bring into this incarnation, in other words, our ancestral patterns and our other life patterns of consciousness, with our experiences here in this particular lifetime, our interactions with our caregivers, our parents, our siblings, our teachers, other people who may be attachment figures or role models of some sort in our life. So as we have all these different interactions and experiences, those can also be triggers or catalysts for us to identify with masculine qualities or feminine qualities within ourselves, or to reject those qualities within ourselves. Let's use an example here where you have a child who is physically abused by a male caregiver or a male attachment figure. So for that child, when that person abuses them, there's a part of them that may either choose to identify with the abuser or may choose to reject the abuser, to suppress anything within themselves that might in some way reflect or remind themselves of that abuser. So it's possible for that person to reject the masculine within themselves, to make themselves become more feminine in their characteristics and qualities, because they don't want to see any of those masculine aspects in themselves that would remind themselves of the abuser. While it's also possible for the opposite to occur, for that person to attempt to over-identify with masculine because they want to empower themselves, to attach to the power or control factor that they perceive a masculine male type individual has. So this is going to vary between one person and another, how they react or respond to those situations. There isn't one universal way that people will react or respond to a particular type of experience in their life. Different people will have different ways of adapting or coping with things. So I gave that example there of someone either attaching to or rejecting masculine qualities within themselves based upon an experience they had with a male figure early in their life. This, of course, happens with female figures and feminine qualities. It also involves how we relate to and perceive other people in our life, not just how we form our own identity, but how we're perceiving others and reacting to others, particularly in close, intimate kinds of relationships. So it could affect what you feel attracted to when you're seeking out a partner or a mate. There may be qualities that you're very drawn toward or very much inclined to reject, and that of course includes the masculine and feminine qualities. So it could actually impact someone's sexual preference or sexual orientation. There are a variety of factors that can affect those parts of our identity, and I'm not saying here that any of that's right or wrong. I'm just observing and pointing out how things evolve and develop as we form our identity, and that identity is never really static. It's malleable, it can shift over time. If you consider when we're born and we're an infant and a baby, our identity at that time is not focused on seeking out a partner or a mate. We're not thinking about whether we're attracted to men or women. We're not even thinking of ourselves as necessarily male or female at that point in development. But over time, those different issues or concerns become more relevant, more pertinent to our identity. I would encourage those who are watching this to reflect a little bit on your own early development and early childhood experiences, adolescent experiences, how different people you've interacted with may have triggered some shift in yourself in terms of how you sought to identify or define who you are or desire to be, how you react to other people, what you find attractive or repulsive, who you see as role models, all of these particular concerns. When we look at who we are, it's helpful to ask ourselves in what way we could become more balanced. So to access both masculine and feminine qualities within ourselves, to be more whole, to have more potential here as a human being, and to kind of bring those qualities into harmony within ourselves, where we're not being overly masculine or overly feminine in situations where that might not be helpful or useful. Of course, naturally, we're here in this human life in different roles. So for certain roles, you do need to be highly feminine or highly masculine in how you're relating to the world. You can think of feminine qualities, things that we see as aspects, let's say, of a mother, someone who's very nurturing, very compassionate, very sensitive to emotions, very much concerned with family, with relationships, with the household. You could also look at masculine characteristics and roles, being providers and protectors, showing strength, accomplishing or achieving things in the external realm in different outside roles beyond the household. That's not to say that that's only for men to do, or that the feminine aspects are only for women to do. It's just that those genders will tend to gravitate toward those roles more, since those relate more to the energies, the qualities, the strengths of that particular gender polarity. Gender is a vital aspect of our life experience. It's a part of all of our lives. And as I mentioned earlier, we all carry potential, the energies of both masculine and feminine within us. As souls, we have many lifetimes, many, you could call them parallel lives or incarnations, where the soul is experiencing, in a sense, every possibility. So your soul is having many experiences as the male gender and as the female gender. There are also lifetimes where the individual may seek to change gender at some point, and that's become somewhat of a common theme, let's say, in our current social period, where people are talking a lot about the transgender phenomenon, about people who feel compelled to even want to change their physical form, their body, to match what they psychologically feel they identify with. That brings up a number of complex concerns, since how we feel and identify as male or female has these multiple layers to it. Some of it's psychological and social, cultural. Some of it has to do with the spiritual realm and other lifetimes we might have experienced in a particular gender. It can also involve, of course, the physiological level, the chemicals, the hormones, and so on. Just as you can be exposed to certain drugs or chemicals that shift the mood or emotional state you are in and how you're feeling, chronic exposure to particular chemicals or hormones can affect the way you feel or sense yourself in terms of gender. So there are these different levels or layers to our being, the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and they can affect one another. So what's going on physically can affect what's going on psychologically, and vice versa. So things are often not as simple or linear as people may conceive of them or may like to think of them. And it's helpful to consider this whole system, these multiple layers to who we are and how our life unfolds and how our identity is shaped. I appreciate each of you for taking your time to explore these topics, to focus on your own personal health, your own well-being, your own development. If you're interested in exploring more of these topics and learning about different areas of pertinence, let's say, to holistic health, I invite you to visit my website, which is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. For now, I wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.